You're talking about leveraging, what we learned here, how do we leverage it to here? And that's been, I can speak more to my experience with ACEC in the United States. And I say this with the hope that FIDIC is able to take advantage of this as well. But there is a lot of sharing that happens with our members. And I think that if you're going to try to move solutions ahead and not share how you got there, then you're not helping the industry as a whole. And I think there's got to be some degree of willingness to share solutions in a way that other teams can leverage that knowledge, and you just start leapfrogging each other as you go through the process. So, I would suspect that globally there are some countries that may be farther ahead with this concept than others, and so how do we then leverage the countries that could really benefit from this kind of information sharing to really move towards a global solution to big issues? And I don't have the answer to that, but it's certainly something that is really interesting to think about. So that project it's completed. It has it's been functioning beautifully for a bunch of years now. And for me personally, my involvement with that project started in, I want to say it was like 2007, 2008, so quite a while ago. And that project was the result of Hurricane Katrina destroying the existing VA hospital. And so this was a replacement hospital that was over 1 million square feet. And my office had limited involvement in that we did the plumbing and medical gas design for it. But we were also charged with, in the event of another historic flood, that the entire facility had to be able to stand alone for, it was originally up to 7 days, and it was reduced to 4 days, full domestic water, sanitary, waste management, generators that could power the entire facility, including heating, air conditioning in particular, for 4 days, which on a fairly constricted site, when you're dealing with a floodplain that could be 15 feet deep, was a real challenge. And I want to say it was probably one of the early massive projects that had to deal with resilience. And it really set the tone for a lot of the work that we've done since then. So, for me, I actually got to spend several days a month in New Orleans for almost a year, and got to love the city, got to really understand, what was the vision for the project. And it was the architect, the other engineers, the construction management team, all in planning meetings for days at a time, so that we understood room by room how the project had to function. But the cool stuff for us was, how do you store fresh water? And we couldn't put it in a water tower. We ended up putting it in an underground tank under the hospital and having to put in a full water treatment system in order to keep the water fresh for that 4 days. And where do you put sanitary outflow from a hospital, that you have to assume that all of the pumps in the local area are down, and it has to be stored somewhere. And then how do you pump it out, and how do you clean the tank? And so these are, you start from big vision, and you start working down into the practicalities of how do you actually make this work? And it had never been done before. So for us, it was just coming up with, well, what about this? Can we try that? And just taking on that we could find a way to make it work. And ultimately, that's what we did. So, for that, I think that the entire process of understanding how such a large project gets put together from start to finish, on the other large projects that we've done since then, we bring a similar approach, and start with what's the big vision, and how do you just keep on narrowing it down until you've got a workable solution. And you don't always get to that workable solution on the first try. But that's engineering. I mean, that's the beauty of engineering, is knowing you've got the skill to recognize when you need to make an adjustment, head off. It's being on the East Coast of the United States, and Boston in particular, we have climate change issues here. We have Boston Harbor, which is rising. We've done some fairly significant projects with local authorities to both go out and survey major equipment, make sure that it's going to be out of the floodplain if we do have flooding here, and it's just been an ongoing part of what we do, and so that was a real game changer for us.